Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic80. For today's episode, I am joined by the awesome Patrick Not Picard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
I'm glad you got your weeklies and monthlies sorted out after our...
Yeah.
If you're not aware, guys, we've started a new series, a monthly series called Full Force Monthly, and you can check that out now if you haven't checked that out already. But Pat and myself and Adam Riches joined us for a kind of nice deep discussion about some things we're going to be talking about a bit later on as well in this ridiculous news cycle. Pat, what is going on?
There's actually a lot of news this week, so this one should only be like 15 minutes of us talking and we'll be done. If it's converse to what actually happens other weeks where there's two topics and we're on here for an hour.
Two topics equals 73 hours. Three. It's like when you're kind of saving something on your laptop and it's going like 3 days, 1 minute, 14 hours, 12 minutes. It's like, for goodness sake, pick a lane. So yeah, we're going to pick a lane. We're going to get straight into the news, and we're going to start, Pat, in I say patent, you say patent news.
Well, I say patently as something that's obviously true, but then a patent is a legal filing.
I'm glad you've cleared that up. But yeah, I definitely say patent instead of patent, and it's that's just, it's me, innit? So my bad. But anyway, last weekend, HissTank reported that toy and entertainment giant Hasbro, you may have heard of them, applied for an anti-theft, anti-tamper. I've used both anti and anti. See, I would say anti, and again, you guys would say anti. Packaging patent. Over the last few years, Hasbro pivoted to more eco-friendly packaging with open windows and mostly cardstock and paper-based twist ties, making their products a little easier to get at, which in turn leaves them open to theft and tampering. The patent, published on the 25th of November, describes a lock built into the toy itself, which in turn can be pushed back into the toy once removed from the packaging correctly. As important as this is for preventing the common action figure swapping, attempted tampering, and of course theft, it will mean that whatever toys are subject to this patent will have a visible mark on the back of them where the key lock pushes back in. It may mean that Hasbro have to work harder to try and minimise that visually, especially for the more expensive collector items. Having said that, I would imagine that this locking feature is used a lot more for the kids' range of toys, like the Snake Eyes movie figures and sets we've seen recently, which made use of the windowless packaging and more open displays. I don't see classified figures having the same feature, honestly, and I would hope they don't use it for them, but we don't know how Hasbro will implement this yet, so stay tuned for any updates regarding its future use. It will also prevent people selling on any figures as mint or unopened, as the key lock itself would permanently fix into the figure once pressed in. It is very likely that brands such as Transformers and G.I. Joe will utilise this feature going forward, but to what degree is rather unknown right now. It will take a while for them to implement the new locking mechanism on toys in development now, so it's probably something we won't see for some time just yet. Pat, what are your thoughts on this? Is this one that worries you a little bit based on what it could do to kind of like the visuals of the figure?
Not really. This is not going to be used on the 6-inch stuff. It's not going to be used on 3 3/4-inch figures. At most, I could see a locking mechanism underneath some vehicle toys and things like that as well. You know, the large figures that are like the Titan series, that's what it looks like is actually drawn on there. So that implies to me that that's what this is meant for, is for figures that are just kind of a little bit cheap. There definitely seems to be an effort to...
Full of shampoo.
That's right. They look like shampoo bottles. So I think that when we looked at this, I joked that I don't know how they're going to put holes in the back and keep the shampoo in there.
It's all leaking out the back, yeah.
It'll just leak out, yeah.
This is the worst shampoo ever. Yeah.
But yeah, they're kind of those figures that are just like this, and they are definitely an effort to make the largest figure possible for that price point. And some kids like them. I've seen a lot of kids running around with these things, like out and about.
I kid you not. I used to really love the merchandise, like shampoo bottles and those kind of things. Where you got like Turtles ones were amazing. You like the ones where they're like holding their weapons like across their chest, but their head pops off, and you got the bottle cap. There was one I had. It was a Centurion's Docterra, and it had an articulated arms. It had the head articulated, popped off, and the cap came out, and it was like. This thing is almost like the toy. It was a bit more, obviously the base body was fixed, but the arms moved and the head came off, and it was amazing. So I loved that kind of stuff as a kid. I think as a kid now, if I was kind of, well, I'm probably being bullied about it right now, but I would be getting that kind of stuff because it's like fun and you can bash it around and they're kind of like durable a little. They're not like, they're cheap, yes, but they're not like intricate. Therefore, things. It's like, like the more things you put on, like the more fancy things you introduce onto something, the more opportunities it has to break, the more technology you incorporate, the more chance it has to break down. So these kind of things are a little bit more durable, a little bit more bashy, aren't they? So I could definitely see it in that sense.
Yeah, some of them have actually surprised me as well. Like not all of them are just straight limbed. Like some of them actually do have, articulation at the
or action features
hip that's a little bit more than like a 5 POA figure.
Yeah, there was that kind of Ninja Strike Snake Eyes 12-inch one, wasn't it? Which was like a mixture of very cheap shampoo bottle mixed in with action feature kind of thing.
Well, even some of the ones that are packaged like this, they actually have a hinge at the hips. So I never really know what to expect when I see a kid playing with one of them, other than to expect shampoo to come out. Of course.
I used to, obviously, back in the day, and they don't really do them anymore. They don't do them in the same way. But do you remember like the old baseball figures? We had like the soccer ones, like the football ones. I had, they're basically like on a little stand in a pose, kicking a ball.
Starting lineups?
Yeah, the starting lineup stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And they're like the baseball guys would be in like a pose, the NFL guys, the NBA players and all that kind of stuff. And the weird thing I found on those like effective statues were the pointless points of articulation. Like you could take the hand off the baseball bat and just move the arm up and round like this and this arm like that. It was the most pointless articulation ever, but I love those figures.
One pose that is what they looked good at.
Exactly. Yeah. It was the same with the football players. You could get football players and you could twist their leg around. It's like, what's the point? It's not like, now it looks dumb. But anyway, I love those, and that's what reminded me of that with the articulation. But yeah, coming back onto topic, and considering we've got so much to talk about today, interesting patent. We obviously, when we get a bit more information about it, how it's going to be officially utilized, we will update. And you can check out our Facebook page and Twitter pages for all that good stuff.
I think it would be something that people wouldn't even notice if it wasn't for the news story.
Very likely.
Oh, is that how those always were done? Like, I just don't think that this is going to really register much at all.
Well, I've made it a very big deal now, haven't I, by making a news burst and adding it to the weekly. So there you go. It's all awareness. It's all about awareness. Anyway, moving on, Pat, and into probably the most ridiculous amount of news ever for one particular story. We'd save it till the end, but honestly, I want to get bloody through it. And that is in extremely intense week worth of HasLab news. Last weekend, Hasbro posted a few updates in regards to their HasLab Sky Striker project concerning a few frequently asked questions about the figures included in the initial funding goal and in the further stretch goals. All figures will be carded on retro card backs, with the pit crew sharing a card, and all of the figures will come with updated file cards. Stop saying cards. They also mentioned that there will be all new character content in the file cards and brand new character art for the figures who, in Ace's case, haven't seen a single card release for that particular design, and in others, bar Ripcord, haven't been done at all. They followed that up with another video update on Monday evening with Emily and Lenny showing off some of the details on the vehicle, including the inner workings under the fuselage panels, the stand and how it fixes to the plane, the removable fuel tank, retractable landing gear using the arrestor hook, swing wing feature, articulated speed brakes, new weapons rails on the wings to load out with missiles, and the removable tail fins. In addition to all of those updates, Emily appeared on our show a few days ago to drop a ton of amazing exclusive reveals, including a production sample of the brand new cloth parachutes, the removable rear engines with lots of amazing detailing. Night Force Ripcard will come on a Night Force card back, And Wayne Ruthel/Ruthel, I'll get to that in a second, is indeed getting a code name. Emily and Hasbro also gave us an exclusive look at the comparison shots for the 1983, 2011 and HasLab models, showing close-ups of the top, bottom and cockpits for each version. You can check all of those out on our Facebook and Twitter pages. What's going on? What's happening here? I think we're being hacked.
Is this thing on? What took you so long? I'm surrounded by imbeciles. It is I, Cobra Commander. The tables have turned, and I will be saving the day this time for you, and ruining it for G.I. Joe. Yes, that's right. I've hacked the Joe's Sky Striker project and made it better by taking it over. Listen, it's no secret that I hate G.I. Joe. I loathe them. In fact, I've been trying to destroy them for decades. And now's my chance. My plans are, as always, brilliant. And you will reap the benefits. 3 new figures, including an incredibly rare variant of yours truly. And an entire set of decals to make the Sky Striker truly excellent. By making it truly Cobra! I've been planning this for quite some time. My mole has infiltrated their ridiculously impotent security protocols and fed me all the information I need to make the Sky Striker my own!
God, I'm such a bad actor, aren't I? What's going on here? What can it be? Oh my god! That's staying in there. Yeah, that interesting, Pat. Blimey, Cobra Commander has taken over the HasLab Sky Striker project. Yeah, I love how goofy I can be in these moments. But I love this. This is amazing. What do you think about this? Give me your initial thoughts on this particular incentive.
Well, my first thought was I wondered who put the video together.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, and we were just wondering, before the show, who did the voice of Cobra Commander? Was it Emily? Was the question, right?
We think Emily is now doing the voices. That would be amazing. She'll get a kick out of that, I believe. I'm sure she'll watch this. I'm sure she will. If not, I'll just literally clip this up and send it to her. But yeah, it was great to actually have Emily on the show. Interviewed it like a couple of days ago and it was amazing. Hasbro were really quick to be like, approved, get it out there. So really happy. And also to get those comparison shots, which was brilliant. And now, like 5 minutes before we were going to record, this news story breaks of Cobra hacking the HasLab project. We're getting 3 new figures at the base offering. Cobra Commander, but it's the kind of rare variant kind of maneuver. The other figure is interestingly described as a Cobra Sunbow Colors pilot. Obviously it's a Cobra Trooper, but in those kind of Sunbow colors. And I love that. I think that's something that no one's really, obviously it's only been out for an hour or so, but like no one's really talked about that particular figure. And I really love the color scheme on it. I think it's really sexy.
Yes. I feel relieved that this is their interpretation of a Sunbow figure. Big time. Because I think too often whenever companies are doing the cartoon version or the comic book version, it's a very literal look at what exact color was in the cartoon or in the comic book. And those could be fun, but certainly whenever we were watching the cartoon as a kid or reading the comic as a kid, and there were other characters that were being shown or figures were slightly different than what the actual figure was, there's a little bit of extrapolation that has to go, okay, well, how would that look as a toy? And we know that Cobra, the blue on a Cobra figure is like this is a toy, and it might be a little bit of a lighter shade in the show, or maybe Snake Eyes is
not black, like kind of a blue
exactly
color.
Like there's some differences, and how do you interpret that as a toy? Well, if you've got a Cobra figure with his gloves off, and that's what's represented in the show, then just make it be kind of a Cobra figure with his gloves off. And they gave him some additional details, and I think that's great. This looks like what I want from the O-Ring collection going forward.
Yeah.
So out of any of them, this to me is one of the ones that shows the most promise
Yeah.
for the toy line moving forward. And then I do have some thoughts on the others.
Okay, so well, let's talk about. Well, the other figure is obviously this cute idea of the Snake Pit crew, as in the Cobra taking over not just the Sky Striker but the pit as well. So there's like a nice little kind of play going on there, which again is probably like a lot to do with like the writers like Sam, Emily, as well as obviously in marketing, which I like that kind of touch. I think that's a kind of fun little angle. And obviously he's kind of decked out much like the pit crew, but as a Cobra figure. Now, let's go back to that first, kind of the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander, as the fandom have named him because of the shape of the Cobra symbol on his chest. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know there's a little bit of controversy, isn't there, in the fandom about kind of touching these kind of particular rarities.
Yes. And honestly, I kind of think that this one's going to be easily differentiated from an original one.
Well, the stamp for a start, let's face it, that's going to be the big one, isn't it? It's going to have the new year on it, effectively.
Right. But I think a lot of people will be wondering, how well could somebody swap parts between an original figure and this figure in order to make a fake to put on eBay? And I do think that it should be relatively obvious, but the thing that usually happens with these figures, and it certainly even happened in the vintage run, is that you can't always assemble vintage arms onto whichever torso. Like, theoretically, you should be able to swap parts since the vintage run generally used the same buck. But between 82 and 83, there were actually several sets of tooling made, which they were making improvements on things. And one of the improvements they made was the thickness of the joint on the shoulder, which changed the socket on the torso to hold that joint.
Yeah.
And so you can't always swap arms between them. And I think it's going to be the same case with this, because this is a swivel arm figure. That's not how the original Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander was. He was a straight arm only.
Yeah.
So are you going to be able to take vintage straight arms and put it on this figure in order to make a fake? I really don't think so. Even if you can, I think that the color will be different.
Yeah.
Plus, they've said that the torso is going to be made out of PVC rather than...
I would say, though, to that, Pat, like, fake is going to fake. Like, that's going to happen no matter what the case is. People can, it might make it, like, slightly easier, I guess. But, like, the end of the day, if people want to, like, BS a kind of Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander, just, for like the eBay kind of like trick, they probably going to be able to do it without really having to, right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I know what you're saying. I get it. But I would also kind of say, I think there's going to be too many differences between the two to be able to, plus what an effort to go to. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just anticipating that that's what some of the concern over this figure will be.
Yeah.
I don't actually, I'm trying to express the fact that I don't think that this is going to be
argue. Let's argue all the time. Snake Eyes version 4, for goodness sake. I'm just kidding. Carry on. Okay. I thought you're out. I'm done. I'm never speaking to you again.
The other thing that I really wanted to point out about this figure that I think is interesting is if you look at the transition from the standard elbow joint to the forearm is actually more flush with the standard elbow joint than the original figure is.
Yeah.
If you look at the original figure, there's actually, after that joint happens, there's actually a little bit of a drop in the sculpt to those forearms. And I kind of assumed that maybe that was because of the change from the straight arm to the swivel arm, that whenever they're making that transition, not everything aligned quite perfectly at the time back in 1983 or in 1982, actually. Those were changed at the end of 82. Yeah, I think that the way that they've made that choice makes the figure look a little bit better than it would otherwise.
I've got to admit, I'm really excited about this. Like, for a base offering now, to be offering those three figures, Ace and Wayne, obviously, Scarlet Flight Suit, well, I know they're not the base offering, but when you take into consideration if this can kind of reach all the stretch goals, you're getting a lot of figures here now, and which is actually really kind of cool. And I'm thinking as well, like even if all right, base offering, Ace, Wayne Ruthel, or Ruthel, we'll get onto that in a second, and 3 more figures. That's 5 figures in the base offering. Tons of decals, tons of customizable options, tons of effects, a stand, a gorgeous vehicle. It's probably more than worth it now, isn't it? It was probably worth it before that.
For sure. I was having a really hard time looking at the price of it and justifying the fact that I knew that if the figures were unproduced figures, I would gladly spend the, what is it, $230 roughly?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah, I would gladly spend that in order to get the unproduced figure. So it seemed like it would be silly for me to not put that toward the pledge to try to get that
everything.
Thing.
Yeah,
and
totally.
get all of it. So yeah, I was happy to pledge it at 230, but now I'm even happier that these are part of the deal.
Me too, and I just had a quick check in the back account, and it is absolutely shot up to 6142, which is huge. Mm-hmm. Like that, in the short period of time that this has been happening, it has really had a quick, almost instant effect, because it was just not moving. The other day, like for the last couple of days, it was just kind of like just edging, like there'd be one back, then 2 backers are back out, then maybe another 2 backers would come back on. So yeah, it's been kind of like a bit of a slog. So I'm really happy that this has actually, moved it a little bit. I was going to say that it was the interview I did with Emily yesterday that changed everything, but clearly that's not the case. 4 days to go. With this kind of almost like rapid increase of what we're getting now, do you think it's gonna hit its goal? I
sadly still don't really see 18,000 happening.
But you do see the base offering?
I do see 10,000 happening.
What do you think? I think
could be in denial, but
depending on what happens in the next couple of days, I think we'll have a better idea going into the last 2 days. I could see it probably hitting 10,000 within 48 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it shot up considerably. I don't know if it was at like 5,500 or 5,600, because like you said, the numbers kept on moving a little bit. So I wish that I would have looked, and like an hour before this announcement was made, but I was asleep.
It was about 590 something, 59 something. So it was close.
Oh, really?
It was closing in on 6,000. Yeah, definitely.
Even before they announced these?
Before they announced before the video dropped, just before the video dropped. So
wow,
it's jumped up.
It only jumped to like 200.
Yeah, but it's kind of moving. Like that's the thing. Like it's still going. It's like every time I change it, it's gone up again. It's gone up again. So like like that. I think there's more. That's what you kind of need. You need that kind of like progression, don't you? You need that kind of movement in order to actually because that kind of really needed to be happening for the last 3 or 4 days. This kind of pace. That's the only problem really I see with that. But I don't know. I feel like it's definitely worth it at this point. Anyway, HasLab, geez, what an absolute ridiculous amount of news we got. And a lot of info has kind of been dumped on us. But some of the kind of key points I'm really excited about. Night Force card for Ripcord. And obviously Night Force were 2 packs in the past. But Emily did state that they're kind of rejigging it for a single carded Night Force Ripcord. So fingers crossed, something magic happens and we can kind of hit those. Not quite sure. But the other thing was, I'm not sure if you heard this in the interview, Pat, but because the carded figures of Ace and Wayne are not going to be in the actual vehicle box. They're going to be in a tray that attaches to, that's going to be kind of part of the kind of main box, which also would have the stand and I think some of the effects. And she was saying that because they didn't want the cards to be damaged inside the box because it's very tight in there with the Sky Striker. What thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that if they packed everything in with the Sky Striker, like she said, things could end up being damaged. But the other half of it is that it would end up being a weirdly shaped box that the Sky Striker art isn't going to have as much of a vintage feel to it. So I think that by packaging the vehicle inside the Sky Striker box and then having all of the other add-ons and bits and pieces in an outer box, I think it's a good move.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see what that looks like as well.
She also mentioned that the pit crewmen, if we reach those, that they are going to be in a 2-pack. You mentioned the the Night Force, but I was picturing pit crewmen, ultimate enemies.
Brilliant. The versus ultimate enemies. Yeah, that would be amazing. Just like you could see them just looking at each other on the end of the flag, just like, I hate you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fight you later. I'm going to fight you later in the canteen. I don't like that color you're wearing. That kind of stuff. Yeah, brilliant. Amazing. Now I've got this storyline in my head of these two pit crew guys that just hate each other.
One is stern, one is bow.
Well, I guess we're talking flag, but they're also in the pit, really, in this sense, aren't they? But
sure.
In our hearts, they're on the flag, aren't they? Anyway, there's so much to kind of talk about here, but we've kind of covered most of it. One of the things, though, is obviously Wayne Ruthell or Ruthell. What are you saying? Because obviously go for it.
You know, I keep hearing people say Wayne Ruthell, but the name Ruthell was actually just a replacement of 2 letters for the name Wayne Luther, who had designed the Sky Striker. So Wayne Luther, the Hasbro designer. So to me, if you're going to take the R and the L and switch them, you're going to kind of keep that Luther sound, and it would be Ruthell. That's kind of how I've always thought that it was. So if it is Ruthell, I guess it's Ruthell, but who knows?
I think, I do. I know, I feel that totally, and I think that's a very good point. I would also say that if he is Ruthell, then his codename could be Ruthless, because he's getting a codename, guys. Emily has confirmed that, and that was always the case. I think it was just going to be one of those like reveals like later on when the card art was done. But that's another thing. They're all getting like this amazing card art. It's getting commissioned, so that's being done at the moment. But yeah, he's getting a code name. Apparently, they've gone through like lists and lists of names, and they've like picked the best 3 and then the best 1. So they've all kind of agreed on it. It's going to be something that probably relates to his specialty, which effectively is, just sitting in the back of a Sky Striker. So backseat.
Maybe he designed the Sky Striker, or he's the Sky Striker technician.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
There you go. It'll be, because obviously all of this stuff we don't know yet. So the file card information, his specialty, all that kind of stuff. There's going to be a lot of. I'm excited for this. I know, like, it's not the most exciting character in the universe, but it's just, I think for us, seeing this homage being done, it's kind of like a weird homage, because everybody kind of knows it was Airborne. Do you know what I mean? Everyone kind of figured it was Airborne in the backseat. The helmet, the fact that Airborne's used in the ejector, or the parachute and the seat kind of instruction element on the box, all of that stuff, and the fact that Wayne Luther's name, kind of homage name, was put on there because he was obviously the designer of it, kind of hinted that this was something else. Like, it was, I like that. I like that there's this kind of like, it's not clean. It's not a clean homage, but I like the fact that they utilized that and went, okay, let's create a new character. I like that. I think that's a great idea. Whether you're like going to be really pedantic, or not you, I mean, like, whether someone watching this is going to be really pedantic and say, well, no, actually, it was Airborne and the name was for another character. So yeah, then that's what you sound like when you talk about it. So I'm just hoping Night Boomer gets done and we get Captain Bob Serum next. That's what I'm after, mate.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Cap Bob. Anyway,
and then I also want those guys that are inside the stowaways inside the whale repaint, the Night Force.
Yes, it was. I thought it was the Night Force version of the Moray.
You know what? You're right. It's the Night Ray. Yeah, I misspoke.
Yeah, you
Wait
did.
a second. Well, who's inside the? That's right. They erased the ones.
Yeah,
from the whale.
Yeah, it's all the night guys. It's like Sneak Peek and Crazy Legs, isn't it? Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, it's the Night Ray, and it's an eel and Ripper is the eyes that are in the front. Eel and Ripper, just to be specific on that one. So we need some sort of, you could say it's Torpedo, and no, that's definitely Ripper. I love the fact that they missed that. I love it. I love that so much, because it's like we stole this vehicle, but there are still Cobra guys in there,
and the Cobra guys are just kind of in there going, "Should we tell them?" The entire time that they were repainting it, they still haven't found us.
Don't say a bloody word. That's what Ripper was saying. Don't say a bloody word, eel. And the eel's up inside you. Anyway, right, that was a Mighty Boosh reference for Adam Drake there. So if you're listening, Adam, that's for you, mate. Right, let's move on then, because we've been talking about this for 6 hours already. And that's HasLab news, guys. And there's obviously plenty more HasLab news to come. We've just got a lot of news to talk about, so we'll get through it. Next up then, Pat, and it's in IDW news. Bleeding Cool have reported that a number of IDW's brand licenses are coming to an end next year, including Transformers and G.I. Joe, but also that they may lose the opportunity to renew. I will stipulate that despite the report, IDW have not officially responded to questions related to this yet, so it's mostly speculative. That said, there's no smoke without fire usually, and during San Diego Comic-Con 2021 Special Edition, the talk focused heavily on IDW possibly losing these big brand licenses from Hasbro. Back in August, Bleeding Cool broke the news on IDW losing the Marvel Action Kids line of titles, which IDW then confirmed, and the Star Wars All Ages line, which IDW did not reply to, but that Dark Horse Comics claimed last month. Based on form, we could see Hasbro going elsewhere, but they could just as easily renew, and with a Real American Hero so close to 300, I would be surprised if they pulled out before hitting that magic number. IDW have also revealed their 4-part Saturday Morning Adventures mini-series, which comes out early next year. I would expect them to at least complete those runs before looking elsewhere, but we shall see. For the most part, I've enjoyed the IDW era, and do hope it continues, especially since hearing about this Sunbow-based mini-series, which I was hoping would get more opportunities to grow over the years, and we saw some amazing artwork from the interiors posted by Tom Waltz on Twitter the other day as well. As I said before, Hasbro could just as easily re-up with IDW, and it could all just be talk, but as soon as we hear any official announcements, we will let you know. If they do decide to look elsewhere, then Boom Studios might be an option, as they currently produce the Power Rangers comics for Hasbro, but like I mentioned previously, it might not be necessary. Pat, do you think here, I mean, obviously we don't have any insight here, but I mean, in terms of your own opinion, do you think Hasbro will just re-up with IDW here? I
think there's a pretty strong possibility of that, yes. You know, sometimes it seems like whenever contracts are up, everybody's kind of aware of them, and it's entirely possible that this news story kind of just grew from that.
Yeah.
From the fact that it's just coming, current contracts coming to an end, and they may just re-up. I don't know. I don't have any insider information on this at all. I don't have insider information. But it seems like launching what I think looks like a really promising book with that Sunbow book right toward the end of having your license.
I know, what a shame.
Right. I'm hoping that gets to really be explored. And I would hope that if they lost their license, that they would give Larry Hama a chance to know that a couple of months out. I know that he just writes his books as you know, from page to page, as he said in the past. But I think that if he knew things were coming to a close,
tie a little bow on it,
might be able to yeah, exactly, tie a bow on it a little bit better. So hopefully, if that does happen, give him the chance to kind of have a 6-issue arc or something like that, rather than just a single issue.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I just had a really worst case scenario feeling there, where, you know, it could be that they just decide to cut ties with IDW, and all of that work for the miniseries is just done. They don't, you know, it doesn't get released, and that becomes like this unobtainable or awesome, what looks like an awesome comic, because Tom Waltz posted some images the other day on Twitter of some of the interiors, and it just looks like it's straight out of the cartoon. Like, they have nailed that visually. The guys.
Yeah, if you're going to do it. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that kind of bothers me about other efforts, not comic book related. But sometimes people just don't go all in on an effort to do something, and it looks like they really did with this. That they are kind of using those existing character models and the colors, they have it down. It looks really good.
And the feeling is there in those two pages, because you've got like the ridiculous. You've got this giant bat attacking the base. You know, you've got like all the different G.I. Joe characters rushing to the Sky Strikers because everyone flies a Sky Striker. Like, it's like, you know, that's 101 G.I. Joe. And then you go to the Cobra side of things, and Cobra Commander's doing something, holding an Aladdin's lamp, and he's got like his, you know, he's about to shoot somebody or whatever, and it just everything looks very Sunbow. They've captured it, and obviously, you know, it could be terrible. The story could be awful. We could hate it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this one is looking like a real winner, and I'm really surprised it hasn't been done in the past. We did discuss this on the last weekly, didn't we, Pat? But like you said, this has to happen. They have to squeeze this out any which way they can, I think.
Yeah, I think that this definitely needs to happen. We need to see exactly where this goes. I don't think that this necessarily is something that would be just a limited series either. I think that this could last for a while.
I'd love to see an ongoing, or at least like multiple miniseries over time periods where they act as almost like an episode, like a 4-part comic acts as like a full episode, and maybe they could do like longer arcs that do like a 2-parter and so on and so forth. Like, that would be bloody brilliant.
That's how Sunbow started anyway, with those 2 miniseries.
Absolutely.
3 if you count Pyramid of Darkness.
Absolutely. I feel like this is this is their attempt at doing a 4-part miniseries like a cartoon. And I do love that. And I think that, yeah, if you could, like, you know, like if they did an ongoing, you know, you could do like loads of just little one-shot, one-issue kind of like episodes effectively. And I don't know, I think I'm being a big Sunbow fan. I just think that I just want to see that continuation. We're not going to get it in animation, so it's really cool that we can get it in comics. So yeah, fingers crossed this happens. And like I said, we will keep you up to date on any of the kind of, is IDW going to lose the license kind of talk, because honestly, I personally think they're just going to re-up, because this has happened in the past multiple times, and the same things happen. The post goes up, Transformers is coming to an end. Usually it's the Transformers guys that are kind of saying, hey, look, the IDW license is coming. And that obviously then tends to lead to them going, hey, that means the G.I. Joe license is coming to an end. So, yeah. And usually these things, like for the companies, they just re-up, and then there's not a thought about what's going on, you know, necessarily for the most part. Sometimes there could be, if the sales aren't great, or if, you know, they're not getting what they think they're getting out of the deal. But usually it just happens and they re-up. So we'll let you know if anything bad happens. But fingers crossed we can get these 300 as well, and also this miniseries. Anyway, next up, Pat, and in some classified news. Late Tuesday night, aka midnight of Wednesday morning technically, Entertainment Earth revealed pre-orders for the G.I. Joe classified Bat and Alley Viper figures and that unchanged repack of Gung Ho, if you ordered the case assortment, that is. We were given a heads up just prior to the drop and managed to secure the figures, so thank you, anonymous benefactor, you know who you are. Anyway, the figures were posted for $22.99 each and $137.99 for the case assortment of 6. That's 1 Gung Ho, 2 Bats and 3 Alley Vipers. Links in the description, as they are all in stock, not just at Entertainment Earth as well, but in a couple of other places which I'll mention in a moment. They have been slated for a July 2022 delivery, which seems quite far off, but is subject to change, and who knows at this point, honestly. Entertainment Earth also included a bevy of brand new promotional photography for the figures, and man, do they look awesome. Of course, we've been seeing a lot of images already, courtesy of some lucky fans getting their hands on these fine figures well in advance, but it really is nice to see them in a more official capacity and on that amazing diorama. As we were already aware, Gung Ho is unchanged from his initial release, as this is just a carry forward, which is what Hasbro have done throughout the line so far, with a number of figures to this point. So they're all still in stock, they're at multiple retailers, not just Entertainment Earth, but Big Bad Toy Store and Dorkside Toys and many others. I hope you've all managed to get them, and I imagine they will be available through Pulse very soon as well. But let's face it, doesn't look like these are going to be a problem getting hold of, does it, Pat?
No, not at all. And that is a very welcome thing for me, because I was really concerned that these would just be gobbled up and it would be the new difficult thing to get. I did see some people upset that they're not hard to get. They were saying, well, you know, the classified line is done because nobody cares anymore. These things are available, and it's like, hey,
let's follow
been available.
Let's follow the narrative here, right? So it starts off being one of the hardest lines to collect, and everyone's angry as heck because they can't get it in scalper bots, which we'll talk about in a news segment in a little while.
Yeah,
are literally rinsing through everything, and we can't get them, and they're going on secondary markets for ridiculous prices. And then even if you want to pay ridiculous prices on secondary markets, they're sold out on secondary markets. So it's like we're in this horrible position. We're moaning, like everyone's moaning at Hasbro, Target, and poo emojis all over the shop. Fire, poop, Target emoji everywhere, and then all of a sudden, Hasbro like, we hear you, we're trying to sort it out, this is obviously a pandemic issue. They increase numbers across the board for Target. They increase getting them on Target in a much improved. Pre-orders, there's a lot of lead time, but you're able to get them. And this is the thing, there's a bit of patience involved, but then at the same time, you were seeing them in stores, and then people are getting them in stores. And it's like, great, yeah, I'm getting them in stores finally. I still go to stores and don't see much. And now people are complaining that they're too easy to get. There's no, like, guys, I'm sorry, but you can't have it both ways. Not everyone's ever going to be pleased here. Everyone.
I think a lot of people just want it to be easy for them to get and hard for everybody else. I really think that's the case.
Which was the case early in the pandemic, was it not? That was the case. Some people were finding them all over their areas. And were easily getting them, and were kind of dispersing them to others. But I think some of them weren't dispersing them to others. They were holding them and then gouging to others, which was a big issue. But I can't believe that you've seen complaints for that, because that is just ridiculous.
Yeah. But overall, these were one of the ones that I was really concerned about getting.
Yeah.
And I'm really wondering when they're going to actually ship. Because
it can't be July, was it? It can't be then.
It doesn't seem like that can possibly be it.
I actually heard a little rumor that some places had them in possession, and when these pre-orders were going to go up, they were going to be like effectively coming out very soon. So I'm surprised as well at looking at that date.
Yeah, obviously Walmart had them available in order to have shipped them out to a few people already. So I'm sure Walmart's supply chain, at least the domestic half of it, they have their own trucks and their own hubs and distribution centers. So I would think that their supply chain is going to be different than some of the smaller online retailers.
Yeah.
But one of the things I did just get in this week were the Golden Disc collection figures from Amazon, which is a Transformers thing.
Yeah.
But the point of that story is those were slated to come in like 4 months, I think. And the date got pushed up. It's like, no, it's not coming in 4 months. It's coming Friday. And then they're like, no, it's coming Thursday. And so the date
getting closer and closer.
Drastically pushed up, which is the opposite of what we saw going into the pandemic. So I think that some of these dates that we're seeing on some of these things
padded
are anticipating not only a problem coming off the boat from China or Vietnam or wherever overseas, but also the domestic logistics problems that we've been experiencing. It's a little bit of an estimated delay for that. And Alley Viper and Bat are definitely in the States, so who knows if it'll be that long of a wait.
No, I totally agree with that, and I'm like totally that whole thing of like I feel like it's like a worst case scenario date.
Yeah.
But also I think I think what's happening as well with some of these things, because it's not happening to every single pre-order item, but definitely to some of them, they'll all of a sudden appear like that boat got through. And, some of the other ones that maybe were ahead of it somehow didn't, for whatever reason, customs or, whatever it may be. So I think that the occasional thing will creep through, and then we'll end up getting, delivered as and when it can, so that it creates that space for the other stuff to kind of come through and be delivered. So, yeah, I definitely see that happening. And obviously when we get to shout-outs, I've had a couple of things in. So I'll talk to you about that absolute mission, but that is effectively classified news this week. Alley Vipers and Bats, It's pre-orders at the moment, but I get a feeling that we're going to be seeing these soon. And not like in abundance, but like in the way that some of the figures have been seen in abundance in recent months. So really looking forward to those. They look great as well, don't they? They look absolutely superb, those two. Oh, cannot wait. Okay, next up then, Pat. And in a story that I have titled, How the Grinch Stole Botmas News. Forbes have reported that a group of Democratic lawmakers introduced legislation last Monday intending to stop cyber Grinches that's the cutest thing I've ever heard, from snatching popular toys online and reselling them at inflated prices, further exacerbating supply chain shortages ahead of the holiday season. The Stop Grinch Bots Act, I'm not making that up, aims to crack down on automated software snatching up entire inventories of coveted holiday items and reselling them at higher prices. The proposed legislation expands on Schumer, Blumenthal and Tonko's, the very same lawmakers trying to pass this legislation, Better Online Ticket Sales Act, which banned ticket bots from bypassing controls to buy tickets for public events like concerts and sports games in 2016 and made it illegal for scalpers to sell tickets acquired by bots. The Act would apply this mechanism to all online retail stores and would task the Federal Trade Commission with enforcing the law if passed. We're all aware that bots can purchase hundreds of items in a matter of seconds, making certain products almost impossible to buy for the majority of legitimate consumers. Most of us have likely experienced missing out on pre-orders or online sales in a matter of seconds, thanks to these nefarious and parasitic tactics. And all it does is make it harder for the consumer to actually purchase a desired online retail item for the original retail price, often putting them off the item completely. We saw a lot of this early on during the pandemic when the Target exclusive G.I. Joe classified line went up for pre-order on their website, which has of course improved now, but scalper bots are still employed by some to gather as many desirable items as possible on the day of release. Pat, do you think this legislation could be effective in helping to stop these bots, or do you think the Grinch will indeed steal Christmas?
I hope that it's effective. I'm sure that the people who buy Nike tennis shoes would have more to chime in on this because they've been dealing with this longer than toy collectors have, and I don't know anyone who can fill me in on that in their opinion.
Yes, I can tell you that getting sneakers is bloody hard, mate. Yes.
Yeah, something needed to happen for sure. It was ridiculous the way that things were working. That there were these artificial prices that were being imposed on things, and the part of it that is bad is that companies have a return policy. And I think that that's really what is being abused sometimes by people who are just buying up things. And if there's a 2-month return policy, you buy the thing right away, you have 2 months to try to make a killing on it. And then, if you don't make a killing on it, you get your money back anyway. So it's a no-risk scenario for the people who are just making it difficult for the people who want something to buy it. It's definitely causing a lot of problems in just basic buying things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't mean to be a complainer. I don't mind whenever maybe if they've picked something up for themselves and decided that they didn't want it and the aftermarket price reflects it. So whatever, maybe I would buy it from somebody, but yeah, I try not to support somebody who's just buying things on day one to flip it. It gets to be ridiculous.
It just screams a bit gross, a bit classless, a little bit like the other thing is kind of like almost like a weird money grubbing type thing where it's like trying to get that instant return, almost like get rich quick thing. It's like it's not really the best avenue to do that. And I don't really see it can't be that lucrative necessarily. It just seems like the worst industry to try something like this, really. I could be wrong and people could be making a ton, but it just seems to me like all it does is it's created a really angry fandom, hasn't it? Because I mean, the bots was the thing at the beginning of the pandemic that was almost as bad as in terms of the experience of trying to get these figures. That was the thing that was the catalyst for all the anger. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was the fact that things would sell out not in 30 seconds, but in 5. in 0.0030 seconds.
Yeah, it's like, well, I had all of them in my cart, but now all I have is Roadblock. That was the experience of shopping at Target, you know.
And thankfully we've got our 12 Roblox figures now, so we can look back on it in and
literally
laugh.
That was the one that I was able to get, I think, from Target whenever all that went down.
Didn't even manage to get that one for the Target online scenario. It was an absolute fail, massive proportions on day one. But thankfully, I did get them eventually. But yeah, this is going to be, the legislation hasn't passed yet. I think it probably will. I think that, this is kind of like one of those things, especially for the holiday season, and not just for us, not just for like adult collectors. This isn't just about scalper bots for toys. This is about scalper bots for product online. And this is obviously toys is one of those ones that stands out because it's got that. If you can get that and constrain the actual quantities, like if you can kind of control that, then you can then put them out for the massive turnarounds. And that's the thing that is like the most annoying to me. It's like, people want this stuff and want to buy it, but like in a legitimate consumer way, in a responsible consumer way. I don't necessarily want to go to Target and buy like 50 G.I. Joe figures if I see all of them on the rack. I just want to get the one I need, the one I want, and then leave the rest for everyone else. Or pick a few up for friends and actually send them on to them and not like be like, yeah, you can have it, but it's going to be 80. It's going to be 90. It's like, come on. Anyway, it's one of those. It's a hot topic, which we'll probably talk about, not the not the store, but like we'll probably talk about this topic on one of our monthlies in the future, Pat. But let's move on because it will just get really angry. And let's go into a bit more Toys R Us news. So, no sooner had we dropped our brand new monthly series, the Full Force Monthly, with discussion on topics like the current state of the toy industry, collector habits, and the return of Toys R Us, than a story dropped about a brand new flagship Toys R Us store coming to American Dream in New Jersey later this month. Now, you may remember we talked about American Dream a number of months ago in regards to Hasbro and Kilburn Live's upcoming IP arcade and activity centre called the Game Room. Well, it looks like American Dream will be the hot ticket because Toys R Us are opening a huge flagship store there as well. The toy retailer's parent company, WHP Global, said it will open a 2-level, 20,000 square foot Toys R Us location at the American Dream Mega Mall in New Jersey in the middle of this month. In addition to a variety of toy brands and gaming merchandise, WHP said the location will offer experiences for kids, including a 2-story slide, a cafe, and ice cream shop. Probably do the ice cream after the slide to avoid vomlets. Gross. The store will be located nearby the Nickelodeon Universe theme park and DreamWorks water park at the American Dream, adding it to a slate of experiential offerings at the property, which are in a separate wing from the retail stores. Toys R Us are hoping this marks a return to malls as their last effort was devastatingly thwarted by the pandemic. Pat, gotta be a road trip to New Jersey now, mate.
They're definitely sweetening the pot here. I think that it's a good move. It feels like taking American malls, which are a little bit on a decline, and putting a bunch of stuff that's exclusive to that you can only get by going to that mall in one spot, is almost turning this mall into a mini theme park, is what it kind of sounds like.
Really does sound like that, doesn't it? And I think it's
a good move.
I think that's a good way to go. Like, you could minimize the amount of malls in general, right? But then have like 1 or 2 per state. Obviously, certain states are bigger than others, but you could definitely in the US have a much like bigger like an experience for families, for children, for us, because we're going to be going there and loving it. So I think that probably makes more sense, like as a plan going forward, because that's going, they're going to be way more like attractive for like the day out and for like footfall in general, and just being around an amazing place like that, rather than like 50 malls in the space of like like in the space of like a small state.
Yeah, I don't see this rolling out right away to other places.
No.
If this is successful in New Jersey, I definitely see them opening one on the West Coast and opening one, somewhere in the Midwest. I would like to have one that I can drive to quickly. And I think that this sounds like a lot of fun. Because the American Dream, as I recall, the arcade there was a lot of exclusive games. Is that what I remember?
Yeah, like IP based as well. So it's going to be
IP based.
I imagine there's going to be. I imagine there might be like your kind of standard games and stuff like that. But then also there'll be things like G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, yada yada. You know, all of their branded kind of stuff will be kind of incorporated into some way, shape or form. You probably have like a G.I. Joe section, which would be like maybe Nerf, like a little Nerf thing they could do, like a crossover or something, or like, you know, like a little Nerf event center type thing. I could see this being like a really good opportunity to do all of the things that they were doing in like Malaysia, you know, with that that G.I. Joe kind of like adventure camp type thing. I could see that operating in the vicinity of something like this. Like, make it like a big experience kind of area. I think that'd be great. And also that there was that whole talk about them doing G.I. Joe like actual theme rides with like the Vamp and the Hiss Tank and stuff. So you know, like I could see a lot of that being incorporated on US soil within that kind of arena.
Yeah, and I kind of like the idea of ice cream at Toys R Us. That sounds like
it does. Think of all the cool, like, you could have like so many fun like branded like flavors as well, couldn't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like the red, white, and blue G.I. Joe one or something, you know, like just cute things like that.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking more along the lines of Jeffrey themed things.
Yeah. Oh, that, well, yeah. Giraffe flavored.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Giraffe flavored ice cream. It tastes hideous, but why am I eating it?
There probably has been Jeffrey ice cream.
Why am I still eating it? Why am I still?
I'll bet there has been, and I just don't realize it.
It'll be orange ice cream, right, with chocolate pieces in it to create the kind of pattern. Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do this. We're going there middle of the month when it opens with Air, mate. Let's do it.
I would like to. I'm looking up to make sure that there's not existing Jeffrey ice cream.
Full force road trip. We're going to get. We're going to get all the listeners, all the subscribers. Everyone that follows us on the Facebook pages and everything, we're all going to go and we're going to have an absolute blast and we'll do a live
G.I. Joe's there.
We'll do no G.I. Joe anything. We get there and it's like, oh, that's a shame. What are we going to do? I don't know. Let's go home, I guess. Anyway, that is all the news, Pat, this week, believe it or not. Actually, I say that, but there's another little bit of news that I'm going to drop in the shout-outs. But should we move into shout-outs, pal?
Sounds good.
Right, shout-outs. So, before we get into shout-outs in the shout-outs, let's do merch alert, because there's been so much merch recently that I felt like I didn't want to do it in individual segments because we'd be here for months. So I'm going to just quickly run through a couple of things that hit us this week. So with Christmas right around the corner, 80s Tees have been busy cranking out some fun designs with a Cobra Commander in a Terradrome snow globe and a scene of the Joes around a Christmas tree utilising their vintage and modern card artwork. Pat, let's talk about that first. What do you think of those little designs?
I love the fact that there's some Christmas-themed shirts that are specific to G.I. Joe that are official. It's a really... Yeah, I like that one. Strangely, the way that Snake Eyes is kind of hunched over really works well. It looks like he's counterbalancing all those presents already.
So true.
So that art really worked well for that.
I love how Timber's got the little candy cane in his mouth as well. I think that's really cute. Anyway, yeah, I'll talk about this t-shirt in a second. But yes, the 80s Tees Snow Globe Cobra Commander is brilliant. I love that. It's kind of, you know, we often get like the kind of very obvious things with G.I. Joe licensed t-shirts. So it's nice to get a few kind of like quirky things here. And I really like that design of the Joes on their card art poses decorating a tree. Like, it looks like Spirit's trying to kill that teddy bear, though. Like, he's kind of, like, crept up behind it, and he's, like, going to slit its throat in some real harsh, kind of, like, dark turn.
The teddy bear does look a little surprised, too.
He's
it's
like, And he whispers in his ear as he does it, because he's, you know, Spirit. Amazing. And I love the fact, like you mentioned earlier when before we came on, but like Duke kind of putting the star on the top of the tree, like in that pose from, I don't even know what that art's from. Is it like a 25th kind of?
Yeah, that's some 25th art right there. It looks like he's going to just jump into the tree though, elf style.
I got it, guys. Yeah, big time. I could recreate it, considering you did the helicopter trashed your whole area last time. I could recreate jumping into the tree, putting the star on in the background here, couldn't I? I'm not going to do that. Kate would have a fit. That's actually all Kate decorating that. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful?
It looks so nice. The way that the light's hitting it right now, the gold is kind of on the... Well, I'm sure you could see on the monitor the way that that it looks.
It's really...
Getting some lens flare off of your...
It's J.J. Abrams. It's a J.J. Abrams produced podcast now. But yeah, I do love those and those t-shirt designs. Really fun. And also, this was interesting, but Pinfinity dropped that box set and it's still available. A link in the description. The box set of Duke and Cobra Commander pins that were going to be like a con exclusive that we kind of reported on a few, again, probably like a month or so ago now. But yeah, really. So if you're interested in those, I've got the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow pins, and they're really fun. So like I probably will jump on the Duke and the Cobra Commander box set because it's kind of a neat little set as well. I like that. Anyway, Pat, that's kind of most of the. I mean, there's been loads of merch, but they're the main ones. Are you going to be getting any of these T-shirts or any of these little things? You interested in any of them?
I don't know. I say no because I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
Buy a ton of stuff right now. It's because a lot of those pre-orders are coming due, so a lot of things are being charged all at once. There's also the holiday.
Yeah.
It's a rough time period for the wallet.
I did get hit pretty strong recently on some pre-orders that all came in at once, and it was like, wow, like it really opened your eyes. Like, okay, maybe I have to kind of really focus on this and really like work out, the ins and outs of this pre-order structure.
It looks like there's a couple of masterpiece like Skywarp and Thundercracker coming back to back 1 month after the other. So
they just hate us so much, don't they? They hate us so much. Anyway, so that's the merch alert for the shout-outs. Pat, do you want to take us through your shout-outs this week?
Shout out to Philip, who I still owe a package. There's some stuff that I've had here for him for a ridiculous amount of time, and I feel super guilty about it every time I see it here, and I don't know why I don't just take it to the post office and send it out. It feels like, well, I'm always going to be sending him something, so I just wait for the next thing.
And now it's the size of Snake Eyes sack, I guess, isn't it?
I think I owe him stuff from like June. It's
Yojo June. Yojo June. Use the full term when you discuss
right from Yojo June.
Thank you.
That's the name of the month on the calendar now. It just needs to say Yojo June.
It also says Yojo July because July was worse, in my opinion. Not worse, more intense than Yojo June. Yeah.
Yes, that is true. Yojo Summer. Why not?
How did that even happen? In fact, August was pretty intense as well. It's like the 3 months of being absolutely destroyed It's
safe to say G.I. Joe's back. That's all there is to it.
G.I. Joe's back. Toys R Us is back. Christmas is here. What more can you ask for? Another series from the Full Force podcast, probably.
O-Ring figures to be back. Wait a minute.
Oh, hang on. Well, all right. Well, yeah, but maybe G.I. Joe could have a HasLab as. Oh, what is going on? What is going on? This is crazy. Yeah, G.I. Joe's back, guys. Enjoy it. Well, they could improve the online pre-orders thing. Oh my God, this is the best day ever, Pat. I'll stop now. As always, any other shout-outs, buddy?
No, that's all I have. I did get in my deck building game if you want to look at that.
Oh yes, I've got show it on camera because you talk about it. I've also got mine, but I don't have to talk about it now. It's a brilliant set. The artwork's incredible. Really, have you kind of had a good through it?
I have not.
It's the worst word ever to use.
That's a terrible word for it.
I kind of want to keep it in, but I feel like that has to be bleeped. So you'll never know, guys. So. You'll never know. Have a good rinse through it. Yeah, just have a look through it, Pat.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I'll have a look through it. How about that? We'll just not be so creative with our terminology that we end up bleeping ourselves. Come on now. But yeah, the deck building game, I definitely enjoy the box, the way it looks. No surprises there. what it looked
Gorgeous.
like online.
Is that a Ratkins? That's a Ratkins, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
I believe it is, yes. So we knew what we were getting there. And then you open it up, and there is a relatively comic book-sized instruction booklet.
Yeah, chonky.
And
All the other
pieces
kind
to
of
pop out
yeah.
and build, and space inside here to build some decks and hold them, which is a good idea. Dice and everything, and
no dice. I was going to say no dice, but there's dice.
no dice. This is just a cards episode, apparently, since you were talking about so many cards earlier.
Yeah.
I still want to look through all these. I haven't opened them up yet because the main reason why I bought this is I wanted to just enjoy the individual character art. And then
Brilliant.
this deck of cards, which is larger than those. And then because was it because I pre-ordered it, or was it just a limited thing?
Because you pre-ordered it on the day with through their website, and you get the box, the bonus box, don't you? Brilliant.
Yes.
That I've opened that, and I've got the Dawn Moreno cards are really cool, and that really cool. And you get like a little coin, kind of push out coin, and you get another hanger build as well, which is brilliant. Look at you being careful with the cellophane still. Brilliant.
Yeah, that cellophane's still on there.
Love that.
Yeah, that's one of the 2 Dawn cards because it comes with 2 of them. They're bagged together.
Yeah, they kind of utilized a lot of kind of current like comic art, didn't they? They kind of like merch art and stuff like that, and then also they've commissioned loads of art as well. So there's lots of new original stuff in there too. There's the coin and the hanger. Yeah, really cool. It's a neat set. I cannot wait to play it. Cannot wait. I feel like we need to get
going to get to play it unless there's some way that you can play it online with people, because
maybe we could.
I don't know who would play with me in person.
Excuse me. I'll play with you in person.
Whenever we go to New Jersey, is that when we're going to play?
Here we go. That's another reason. We'll get an Airbnb nearby, and we'll have one evening of absolutely destroying this game. Do the game. I'll never understand why that came to my head as I said it. I don't know.
I have no idea where your head goes sometimes. Things, but yeah, I also owe Philip a visit. So
people are going to be like, "Why do you bleep that? I want to know what you said." But you're not. No, tough. Okay.
It's just going to be. That's going to be what the backers get this week.
Oh yeah, the Patreon crew.
Patreon backer, yeah, Patreon. Then you get to hear.
Want to know?
Nasty words.
Want to know the word I said, guys? It was this. I'll do a poll. What word did you think I said? That'd be even funnier.
Do it as a news burst.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Intel coming at you. Right. Well, in that case, is that all your shout-outs, buddy?
Yeah, I think that does it. That does
Awesome.
it for the week.
Awesome. As always, big shout-out to my entire family, to my wonderful wife, Kate. Love you all. And it was actually Kate's birthday on Monday and mine last weekend. Got some really fun G.I. Joe related gifts from the family and friends, including this awesome Christmas Snake Eyes tee. Do you like this? This is I love this. It's amazing. So that's a big shout out to my brother and sister-in-law, Drew and Ree, for picking that up for me. They also got me this gorgeous. Now, this is a model of the Vulcan, which is a beautiful airplane from the United Kingdom, which is kind of like quite close to my heart, because this used to be like, my dad was in the Royal Air Force, and the Vulcan was like it was almost like the poster kind of child of, that era, and also, since, obviously, it's an amazing plane, it's huge, right? I've been to a couple of air shows, and this thing does its party trick is to, like, fly low, so it's flying really low as if it's about to land. So it's coming into land, like everyone's like standing around watching this thing coming in, and then it just literally goes like that, cranks the engines on, and just shoots straight up in the air. And it's the loudest thing I've ever heard. It literally shakes the entire area, and all the car alarms in the car park miles away start going off. It is brilliant. So this Vulcan has always been like a really like impressive plane. I've always been a big fan of it. And there's always been like one, I think there was one outside one of the RAF bases that my dad was stationed at. And every time we go past one of the RAF bases in the UK, we'd see it out there. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous plane. Decommissioned now. I think there's only one left that's still flying. And my mum's name has been added to it. Now there was a thing where that you could have your name added to it, on like a plaque underneath. And obviously a number of people went in on this, and my dad got it for my mum as a present, and so her name is etched on this plaque. So I'm going to have to go and see that when we're in the UK next, and you can actually go and see it, and you can go and check out the names that are on it and everything. So really excited about that. So thanks to Drew and Ree for getting me that. It's a really beautiful present. Really enjoy it. Really lovely to have. So thank you very much. And sorry for the extremely long story about that, but yeah, the Vulcan is amazing. So Eric Aranya, big shout out to Eric Aranya, because he got Kate and I for our birthdays these gorgeous classified scale Baron Ironblood customs that he did for us. Look at that. Isn't that
That one's really nice, yeah.
So that was mine. That's my little birthday prezi. Thank you, Eric. Absolutely gorgeous. Get some close-ups of him. I've actually got pictures up on Hoarder, so you can go check out those pictures. I'll put a link in the description for that. And we'll talk about Hoarder in a sec. But yeah, this is the Baron Ironblood for me. And he made one for Kate as well. And look, it's like a modern kind of tactical Baroness Ironblood. Isn't that brilliant? So thank you so much for that, mate. And we'll get some pictures up of this as well. Kate will probably have to, I'll force her to upload it to Hoarder, so you have to look that way. But yeah, isn't that cool? So thank you.
His paint is always so clean. It always amazes me how well he does things.
It just, everything is so clean on it. Like because obviously with those, there's a lot of sculpting, I think, involved, or like a lot of kind of like, a lot more than just, painting a lot of the time. And he just does an amazing job. So really happy with those. Kate obviously did her own Baroness Ironblood, which is incredible. So we've got all these Baron Ironblood customs. It's incredible. So thanks to Eric Aranya, mate. Really appreciate that, buddy. Really great gift. Obviously, the Renegade Game Studios box and game and bonus box I've also picked up too. Shout out to Brian Sauer for the awesome Tiger Force graphics, which, again, we're going to be switching. I think on the 12th is when it actually becomes winter. I think that's the official date for winter. So we'll switch to the winter graphics by then. And that's what I do. I like to keep it in season,
Yeah, I just am not looking forward to winter.
Well, it's just so bloody cold. Obviously, it's just so, well, not when you're in Florida like Adam. But anyway, one massive shout out here to Dave Tree, Bob Breakin, Paddy Lennon, Matt Paul, Dave Shorter, Gavin Chilston, the Skeletron Roboskull Mark II, Mark Seddon, and Chief from Talking Joe, and everyone who attended Rollout Roll Call last weekend. Bob did a great presentation by all accounts, and Dave surprised him by revealing the Roboskull Mark II, who Ben Conway so graciously expedited to the show especially. So really gutted I couldn't be there to enjoy the show, but happy that everyone had a lot of fun, and we will try and get out there next year obviously for it. But that looked like a fun show, and Bob's panel looked fantastic. Finally got this bad boy in. Snake Eyes and Timber. Funny story about this. So I've been waiting how many months, Pat? Quite a while for this to come through.
Yeah, same here.
Like it took a long time. Anyway, I get a delivery note. Now we have a mail room. Like people come in, we've got lockers for the mail, we've got Amazon lockers for packages, and then they just put packages that aren't Amazon stuff, or if they're too big for the locker, on the floor next to it. So that whole area is just a mail room. Now, the UPS guy comes into that mail room and puts a sticker on our mailbox to say, "Sorry, I missed you." Of course you missed us, because that's not how the mail works. I don't know what was going on, but they decided that this then had to go to a UPS collection point in a deli just down the road from here. Honestly, I don't understand what was going on. No idea why he didn't just put the package down like
New
every
person,
other,
probably.
very likely. But it goes to this. So I've never done this before. I had to, and Kate was at work, so she had the car. I'm sitting there thinking, well, it's on the same road, so it's not that far away. It took me about 15 minutes to walk it. So I walk the 15 minutes to go get it. I stand in this queue in this deli, which is taking ages because for some reason the scanner isn't working. I eventually get to the front after maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes. Again, the scanner continues not to work. And instead of doing what he did for the previous person, which was take a picture of it to scan later, we went through the same process. So we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. Eventually, he takes a picture of the thing and gives me the package. He goes, there you go. I'm like, thanks. Left, get back. And I'm just like, this has been the most arduous journey just to get this figure, I think, since this last Snake Eyes thing that took 4 months to get here. But yeah, like a 40-minute round trip on foot in the...
Wow.
Just, yeah.
How far was that in miles that you had to walk?
Not far. It was like 15 minutes. It was on the same road, but it's quite a way down the road. You know, you look at the thing and you think, oh, it's not too bad. And 15 minutes isn't that bad, but that's 30 minutes technically. And then, actually, it was longer than that. It was probably an hour round trip because I had to wait for a considerable amount of time to actually get the package given to me. But I'll stop complaining. I've got it now. It's beautiful. And I haven't opened it yet, but I will be. And yeah, there you go. There's another story for you guys. Another one in the books. I've also been opening my Micro Machines Advent Calendar. I'm on day 3. Nice. Haven't opened day 3 yet, but I did open day 1 and got this little beauty. Let's try and get a little. There you go. You can see the yellow on the bonnet now.
Nice.
Hood. And I got this little beauty, little kind of muscle car as well. So. These are really cute, and obviously the actual calendar's adorable, and it flaps down and it creates this like diorama with a racetrack. It's just the best. I'm so happy with this. I know you've got an advent calendar, haven't you, Pat?
I do, and actually you just reminded me that today's the 3rd, so I can open another one. I bought. Actually, it's right here next to me. This is last year's advent calendar. I bought last year's and this year's advent, so I'm opening 2 things every day.
Greedy.
I'm a glutton. Yeah, I'm greedy. But I saw this actually on sale like a month ago.
Oh my goodness!
The Back to the Future Playmobil calendar.
So good.
And, yeah, it's the level of detail and the number of things that they're including in here is really amazing. I mean, I'm going to own a Twin Pines / Lone Pines Mall sign by the time I'm done with this. Like, I didn't ever think that there would be a company that would put something like that out. And I bought the car because it was on clearance at Walmart, like maybe 6 months ago, and opened it up and thought, wow, they really did a nice job with this. So then I was tempted to buy these. The temptation kept on happening, and here it is. So then I have...
That's really dope. I love that.
I have Marty.
Hey!
And he has a guitar. The first day was just so Marty.
Good.
The second day he got like the cuffs for his sleeves as well as the guitar. And who knows what I will get in day 3.
That's so sweet.
You can see what I get in day 3. I'm curious.
I would open mine, but I've been doing like little videos, so I'll have to do it later. What is it?
Day 3 looks like it's going to be a big one.
Probably
I'm really wondering what this is.
Hopefully it's the car, the whole car, the full car.
That was a separate purchase. That would be awesome if there was another one of the entire car. And what could this be? Bench? I'm opening the right one, aren't I?
Holy crap, it's a double door job.
It is. Oh, wow. I think I know what this is.
Dun, dun,
yep, that's what I thought it was. They seem to be going through the movie in order because you saw Marty first, then he got his guitar in day 2, day 3.
Amp, mate, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Big gigantic speaker for me to put on this. I need to build it apparently. Put that on there. So it's amazing.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, they've done such a nice job with this stuff.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. I'm really into that. I really want that now.
Yeah, and like this is just an outer box. There's actually like an inner box. And then there's like Dio pieces like this.
That's like, how much was it? But if you don't mind me asking,
Was it like 30 something or $40 or something like that?
That's not bad. I was expecting more like 60 or something, or 50. That's impressive.
Yeah, I don't really remember. And then, for Cyber Monday, they Amazon and Walmart had like Marty's truck and the Back to the Future Part 2 kit, because that one wasn't done as an advent. It was done as a set, and those were on sale 30% off. So I've never really bought Playmobil since I was a kid and got like the recalled McDonald's stuff and things like that, but here I am. It looks fun.
That's awesome, man. Man, what a shout out. This has been a bonkers so far. I will actually add one more, and that's Total Action Force The Battle Years. So massive shout to, and I know I gave the shout out on the monthly, so if you watch the monthly, you've already kind of heard me, fawn about this. Big shout out to Brian Hickey, Paddy Lennon, David McDonald. Absolutely gorgeous book, and I am just absolutely blown away. But I knew what to expect as well. That's the thing. I knew what to expect, and somehow my expectations were not even close to what. This is just beyond beautiful. Like the care, the level of like quality, the photography, the comic artwork, the literal, like the writing from Paddy, the interviews. It's just wonderful. So I'm rubbing it in if you haven't been able to get one, but this is an absolutely stunning book. So thank you, Brian, Paddy, and David McDonald, who's also on there as well. But anyway, yes, big shout out. Thank you. Thank you very much. I just got a package. I just got a message. I got a package. So I wonder if that's something else that I could be talking about today. I'll save it for next week. Anyway, there we go. Pat, I think we're done, kind of, sort of, almost. Yes. So, finally, as I always do at the end of these episodes, we continue to support the LGBTQ plus community, and as always, stand fast with the Asian and Pacific Islander communities in saying Stop Asian Hate. We do not discriminate against any minority and want the show to be a fun and safe environment for anybody, no matter their background. To our patrons, listeners, viewers, thank you so much for all your support. Absolutely amazing, solid ass week this week for all of you guys watching and enjoying the content. It has been one hell of an episode, and we have been absolutely bombarded with news this week, haven't we, buddy?
Yeah, it's been a fun week for sure. I'm so glad that the news of the Cobra takeover of the Sky Striker came prior to us recording this week.
I kind of agree, but it just makes the episode 7 hours longer. But yeah, we'll be getting this out tomorrow at some point. But anyway, that's all from us. Pat, thank you so much, mate, for jumping on again. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks again. It's always fun.
It's been a good one, hasn't it? I love it. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host, Patrick, not Picard Stewart. See you next time. And as always, 1, 2, 3.
Full Force!
Perfect. Oh, he's frozen. He's frozen, lads! How long can he hold it for? That's the question.
Okay,
I'm leaving that entire thing in. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @The Full Force, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/The Full Force, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.